Today we're reviewing Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. Now, by way of introduction, I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Here's a copy of The Blackest Heart. And also The Lonesome Crown is another book that I've done. Now, this is the second time I have done a Lonesome Dove review on YouTube. The other review is only up for a couple days. I did not like that review. I rambled on and said a lot of stupid things. I'm just learning how to do YouTube. I'm just learning the channel. Please bear with me on my journey as things improve over time, slowly by slowly, video by video. But I deleted that video and we're starting over again fresh with a new and much improved Lonesome Dove review. So thank you for all my subscribers and all the viewers that have tuned in. So, I mean, for 2 weeks on the air, we've gained over 300 subscribers and about 30,000 views, so we're doing well. So I love all of you. I love all of you that are tuning in for my reviews and my writing advice videos. Now, let's get to Lonesome Dove, should we? Let's talk about the things that I wanted to talk about. That's why I'm wearing the cowboy hat. That's why I'm wearing the cowboy hat, so we can be in the mood to talk cowboys. Lonesome Dove. I'm going to tell you, it is my second favorite novel of all time. So you know I'm going to gush about this for quite a bit. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And let me tell you the reasons why I love it. First of all, it's about a cattle drive. Well, not only that, it's about a cattle drive from the bottom of Texas all the way up to Canada. Now, you wouldn't think that a cattle drive would be, you know, all that fun to read about. However, this is like a quest. These cowboys, I mean, we got cowboys, we got ranchers, we got farmers, we got cooks, we got horse thieves, we got Apache Indians, we got sheriffs, we got gunslingers, we got all kinds of people on this quest. We've got, we've got Lorena who plays the whore. We've got other women, great women characters, great men characters, great Indian characters, Native American characters. So many things are going on in this cattle drive. It is literally like a medieval fantasy quest novel just set in the Old West. And let me tell you something. The way Larry McMurtry describes the Old West, you do not want to live in the Old West. It was a bad, bad place back then in the 1800s when these Texas Rangers were hunting the Apache Indians and the Comanche Indians, when these Texas Rangers were ruling the Old West and there were gunslingers and gunfighters and people had to hack it out of the wilderness, you know, one log cabin at a time, fighting for their food every day, fighting with bandits and gunslingers and people wanting to steal their cattle and horses. This was not an easy time or place to live. This book kind of gives you the feeling you got when you read Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. When Ken Follett describes an old 11th century medieval village, you do not want to live in that village. Well, let me tell you, you do not want to live in 1800s Texas because it was nasty. And Larry McMurtry gets into the grittiness of it and the despair of it and the drama of it so well. That's the basic premise of this story. A cattle drive from Texas to Canada with all these different characters, and it is magnificent. This book won the Pulitzer Prize for literature back in the 80s, I think 86 or 87. That's how good it was. And, you know, we don't get Westerns anymore. You know, Louis L'Amour is dead, Zane Grey is dead, all the great Western writers are gone, and we just don't have any people writing Westerns anymore or any publishers interested in publishing. This literally was the last greatest Western ever written, and, like I said, my second favorite novel of all time. I can't speak highly enough of it. Now let's talk about some of the characters. Some of the characters... First of all, we have to talk about Gus McCrae and Woodrow Call. They're the two main guys. These two characters, Woodrow Call is the stoic cowboy where everything has to be done right. He lives life by a code of honor, and he's just kind of no nonsense, no humor, no anything. And he's partnered up with a fellow Texas Ranger named Gus McCrae. The cat is trying to have me pet her at the same time. So I don't know if I was distracted and said Gus McCall and Woodrow Call or Gus McCrae or Woodrow McCrae. Let me get them straight right now. Woodrow Call is the stoic cowboy, and he is partnered up with his Texas Ranger partner, Gus McCrae, who is the exact opposite. Gus McCrae is sarcastic. No, everything is nonsensical to him. He's cynical. He doesn't take anything seriously. Everything's a joke. And he's the exact opposite of Woodrow Call, the stoic cowboy. We've got the loose and fancy-free cowboy. We've got the stoic cowboy. But they play off. The chemistry between these two guys is the single greatest. These are the two single greatest characters, and the relationship between them is the greatest relationship between any two characters, I think, in the history of fiction. Just to be honest. Gus McCrae, Woodrow Call, these guys, the way Larry McMurtry writes them, you are rooting for them every step of the way. You love every bit of Gus's personality. You love every bit of Woodrow Call's personality, and you love every bit of dialogue between the two and how they just don't get along, but yet they love each other and get along in the end. And I won't give away spoilers on any of my reviews. There's a lot of characters in this book, and not of them make it out. A lot of the cowboys, a lot of the whores, a lot of the ranchers' wives, a lot of the sheriffs. There's horse thieves, all of it. You know, we've got Gus and Woodrow, who I've already discussed, and then we've got Newt, the orphan boy. We've got Jake Spoon, the gunslinging horse thief. We've got Lorena, the whore with the heart of gold. Some of it's a little cliche, but hey, it works. Larry McMurtry makes it work. And let me tell you something. He does not give just all male, white male characters the screen time. We've got Native American Indians that get a lot of screen time, and they are handled with a lot of sensitivity because they see that their land is being taken from them slowly, and they react with a lot of violence. They react to this theft of their lands with a lot of violence, and Larry McMurtry handles it very sensitively, and it makes sense, and it makes sense as far as the story and the plot goes. And he also gives a lot of screen time to a lot of female characters too. So you will love this. This is a great, great book that is all-inclusive for all types of people. Everybody that I recommend it to loves it. Now, it is rated R. It is R-rated. It is violent. So if you do not like that kind of thing, I would still read it and expand your mind to rated R stuff. It's that good. You will not forget this book. Lonesome Dove is the third book in the series. I will tell you that. Larry McMurtry wrote his Lonesome Dove series about Gus and Woodrow Call, and it's a 4-book series. Lonesome Dove is the third book. Comanche Moon is the second book. Dead Man's Walk is the first book. Streets of Laredo is the 4th book. I don't have them in order there, but just keep in mind it is part of a series. However, I recommend people start with Lonesome Dove because it was the first in the series to be written. The others are wonderful. The others are great, but Lonesome Dove is the place to start, even though it's the 3rd book in the series. Now, if you don't want to read the series, let's say you want to watch it on television like Game of Thrones or The Sopranos or something. Well, we're in luck because they have done a mini-series of each one of the books. Now, this one, Lonesome Dove, was fantastic, starring Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones and Diane Lane. It's everything that Larry McMurtry put in this book is in this miniseries, including the fantastic chemistry between Gus McCrae and Woodrow Call. That is Robert Duvall there plays Gus McCrae, and Tommy Lee Jones plays Woodrow Call. And these guys, these actors, they nail the part. They get it right. There is no mistaking that they took their inspiration right out of the book and the way that Larry McMurtry wrote them. Perfect, wonderful actors for the part. They get it. Now, there's also a mini-series of The Streets of Laredo, Book 4, starring different actors, but that's okay. They all do a good job. The Comanche Moon was also made into a mini-series. Again, entirely different cast, still a great story. And Dead Man's Walk also was made into a miniseries. So you can watch them all. Now keep in mind, with each version you watch, it's a new cast for every character, but you fall in line real quick with them all. I recommend watching them. I recommend reading all the books, watching all the videos. And I love this series so much. I mean, my first novel is The Forgetting Moon. I specifically named it that after Larry McMurtry's The Comanche Moon, as in honor of what he meant to me as a writer. Now, book 3 in my fantasy series, I named The Lonesome Crown, again, in honor of Lonesome Dove. So, That should tell you how much I love these books. Second best book in the world, according to me. My second favorite novel in the world. Now, as an aside, there's not many Western novels written that much anymore. I'd like to do one. I was watching on YouTube the heavy metal band, the hair band Cinderella. They were shooting a video. They shot a video. Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone was the song, and they shot it in a place called Bodie, California. And I watched that video and I just loved it. Bodie, California, for those of you who don't know, it's an old ghost town. It's the oldest preserved Old West ghost town in the country. It's an old mining community, gold mining community, and a lot of the buildings still stand. It is magnificent. When I was watching that video, I was like, man, I got to go wherever Cinderella shot that video, I got to figure it out, and I got to go visit that someday. So I figured it out, found out it was Bodie, California. I went to Bodie, I bought myself a Bodie t-shirt, and I toured around the old ghost town, and I was fascinated, and it inspired me. It's like, nobody's writing old, big, epic Westerns anymore. Well, I'm a writer. I have an in the business. I'm going to give it a shot someday. I was walking around Bodie, California thinking that I'm going to write my Lonesome Dove, set it in Bodie, California, and kind of combine it with what Larry McMurtry did with Lonesome Dove, and kind of what Ken Follett did with Pillars of the Earth, setting his story, Pillars of the Earth, in an old English 11th century town. I want to set my Western in an old gold mining town, kind of like Bodie, California, where there were gunslingers and gamblers and gold miners and all sorts of stuff. You know, we get a lot of that with the Western series HBO did with Deadwood and Hell on Wheels, but we just don't get any books like that anymore. I want to write the next one. Going to visiting Bodie, California inspired me to write the next one. So thank you, Cinderella, the heavy metal band, for inspiring me to write the next Lonesome Dove. And I hope when I write the next Lonesome Dove, it's as good as the original Lonesome Dove, but we can only wish. I'm going to give it a shot. So that is the end of my video. I give this book a solid 10 out of 10 stars. I rate books 10 out of, 1 to 10. This one's a 10, if not higher, 10 plus. Lonesome Dove, please get it and read it. You will not be disappointed. Lonesome Dove, one of the greatest novels of all time. Please go get it and read it.